got to go. 7:35 in the morning. Let's get right to the phones. Author Gene Stone. The new book is called The Trump Survival Guide. Good morning, Gene. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
Not too bad. I know we have a short time together because I'd probably love to go deeper with you on this a little bit. Let's do it. We got down to Trump and Hillary for this election, I described Trump as basically you're dropping a force of chaos on 535 insider traders called the Congress.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I'd say you got it exactly right. It's not just, however, 535 insiders called the Congress. What we're also seeing is the entire Washington community, particularly as we see right now, the intelligence community. There's a bomb been dropped on them too, and they don't know how to react.
So what's interesting is you say the opening line of your some of your points is whatever your political stance, it's time to get politically active. But when I notice most of your stuff in relation to your strategies, which a lot of it is a lot of good grassroots stuff, seems pretty lefty. So how do you say it doesn't matter what your political stance is, but you have donate to progressive think tanks and things like that? I just want to see how you negotiate that in your mind.
Sure. Well, I am a lefty. I'm a moderate lefty, and I am usually voting for the Democrats. But my point in the book is that it really isn't a matter of left and right. The book isn't divided into political issues. The book is divided up into issues like civil rights, energy, immigration. For instance, I have a number of Republican friends who are very environmentally conscious, and they're very worried about what Trump might do to the environment. So, yeah, the organizations that I mention in the book certainly lean to the left, but that doesn't mean that moderates can't go that way as well as conservatives.
So why do you think America voted a guy in who had really no political experience and said some crazy stuff on the campaign trail? Why do you think America?
You know, I don't think anybody can really answer that, but I think there are two things. The first is that he was a fresh voice and face. I think that Americans are tired of the same old politics that have been so frustrating to them for so many years. And frankly, a lot of it was simply that so many people disliked Hillary Clinton. So I think a lot of the Trump supporters, or at least the Trump voters, were actually anti-Hillary voters.
So when I look at a lot of your strategies, especially when we talk about playing a role in local politics, because the Democrat Party has lost a lot across the country on the local side, especially legislatures and governorships and things like that. But you do start on school boards and town councils is definitely a way. I see some similarities even between the people who are upset with Barack Obama after the first couple of years, that Tea Party group, some of that grassroots. I see some similarities in what you're trying to suggest here.
Well, I think the Tea Party really did an amazing thing. What they showed America is that you can be a citizen in a small town in Arizona or anywhere else, and you can have a voice if you are smart and you band together with other people and you get involved in local politics. Not only can you affect local politics and issues like tax and education, these are often local issues, you also begin to find people who can then rise up from being a local politician to being a national politician. If you look at the national scene right now, the Republicans have a deep bench of very capable politicians. The Democrats don't.
It's very true. I mean, we saw this with was it Representative Ryan, the guy who challenged Nancy Pelosi for House leadership? Was his name? Was his Ryan? Well, anyway, that young guy.
No.
Who was that? Not Ryan. I'm spacing it.
Yeah, I'm spacing it too.
So anyway, that guy says, okay, we've lost all these seats, right? And said, hey, I'd like to challenge Nancy Pelosi. And sad to say, she came back in because she raises money, but she loses seats. Everyone was worried about their individual money, but not the big picture for the Democrat Party, which I found probably short-sighted. Am I missing something there, Gene Stone?
No, you're exactly right. In fact, I wish you had been advising the Democrats in the House because they spend too much time worrying about their own careers and worrying about money on a national level and not enough about local politics. This is the point of the Trump Survival Guide, is that if moderates and liberals want to have a stronger voice in this country, they have to start paying attention to what's going on in their local community. They have not been doing that, while the right has been doing that very effectively.
So one of the last things on your list here is get involved and report hate crimes. And this was a big thing. Everyone said there was all these hate crimes that were happening post-election. It's been kind of proven a couple of times that, I hate to say it, it's a little fake news on some of those things. And I see some of the the Trump haters doing things that are more violent than Trump supporters right now. When you look at that, are you really seeing a rise in hate crimes because of Donald Trump?
You know, I think what you're seeing, and I hate to say it because I am a liberal, but I think you're seeing the liberal press often finding these examples and maybe bringing them to the forefront where they weren't doing that before, to make a point about Donald Trump. And to address your other issue, I just don't see the point in Democrats and Republicans, the right and the left, fighting each other. I don't see the point in these ridiculous violent protests that can take place on the other side. We live in a democracy, and the greatest democracy in the world, but it only works if there is discourse between the right and the left. And my biggest fear is that that's broken down.
Tucson's a pretty liberal town, and sad to say, later today, it's interesting, today's our interview, is I have people basically planning a anarchist gathering in downtown Tucson today because, quote, they hate Trump.
Well, I have to say, though,
and I've never seen that on the Tea Party side.
But there's something wonderful about a country that allows people of all stripes and persuasions to go out and voice their opinions. But what I'm saying is, if you really don't like Trump, as I particularly don't like, then in my book what I say is do something constructive. If the environment is your issue, join an environmental organization. Give them money. If politics is your issue, then become politically involved. Protests are great. This country is about protests. We started as a country because we were protesting the English. But taking an action is really what we need to do.
So
on both sides.
I know we're on a hard, I got to let you go in less than 2 minutes here. One of the things that I found frustrating about the way that, as the Tea Party showed in 2010 that they can flip some elections, all right, and that's something that I think you guys are hoping you could do through a grassroots movement. I found it very disheartening that the Obama administration basically used the IRS as a political weapon against a grassroots organization. And
well, we're going to have to disagree on that one. I hear what you're saying. I think
what part is there to disagree? Did Lois Lerner not blow up servers? Did Lois Lerner not tell Congress that I'm not going to tell you anything? I mean, that's the part that's interesting. So we'll see if Trump acts the same way. You know, I hope you guys get pissed off like we all got pissed off when Obama did in some of the Tea Party groups.
Well, you know, you're totally right that the way that the country works best is when a particular group doesn't like what they're seeing in Washington, and then they voice that opinion and they do something about it. That's what makes a democracy work, and that's what the left has to learn from the right. The right has been so much more intelligent about doing that on a grassroots level than the left has been.
Hey, Gene, I know I got to let you go. I'd love to have you come back and we keep talking about this.
Love to do it.
Thank you, Gene. Have a good day. The book is called The Trump Survival Guide, and the author is Gene Stone.